Something massive is happening in the Caribbean, and it's making Venezuela very nervous. The United States has quietly moved some of its most advanced stealth jets, the F-35 Lightning IIs, to Puerto Rico, just a few hundred miles off Venezuela's coast. For years, the Caribbean was considered a relatively calm zone, but this sudden deployment changes everything. These aren't ordinary aircraft, they're part of the world's most sophisticated air fleet, capable of evading radar and striking targets before being detected. For Venezuela, this isn't just a military shift, it feels like a threat sitting right on their doorstep. The question everyone's asking, why now? Why bring stealth fighters to such a sensitive region at this exact moment? What message is Washington trying to send? The reports first started surfacing in late September. Local witnesses saw military cargo planes and fighter jets landing at the old Roosevelt Roads base in Ceiba, Puerto Rico, a site that hadn't seen major U.S. operations in years. Soon after, multiple outlets confirmed that at least 5 F-35 Lightning II jets had arrived, possibly accompanied by a handful more on standby. Official statements were vague, calling it a regional security operation, but experts say the scale of movement suggests something much bigger. The deployment reportedly includes naval destroyers, Osprey aircraft, and reconnaissance drones, all forming a network that gives the U.S. unparalleled visibility across the southern Caribbean. For now, there's no official acknowledgement of how long these jets will stay, or what missions they're preparing for, but one thing is clear, they didn't come for training exercises. Choosing Puerto Rico wasn't random, it was strategic. Geographically, the island offers the U.S. an ideal forward base to project power across Latin America while staying in its own territory. From Puerto Rico, F-35s can reach Venezuelan airspace in minutes, monitor maritime routes, and respond to emerging threats faster than from mainland bases. The move also lets the U.S. operate in international waters while maintaining political cover, since Puerto Rico is an American territory. Experts say this deployment sends a calculated message. Washington doesn't need to cross borders to make its presence felt. The F-35's stealth capability means they can observe without being seen, which adds psychological pressure on adversaries. In short, Puerto Rico offers distance, dominance, and deniability, a combination that gives the U.S. unmatched leverage in a region already simmering with tension. The story didn't start with this deployment. For months, the U.S. has been escalating its presence in the Caribbean under the banner of anti-narcotics operations. In March, a U.S. Navy strike sank a Venezuelan speedboat allegedly linked to the Tren de Aragua gang, killing 11 on board. Washington claimed it was targeting drug traffickers, but Caracas called it a deliberate provocation. Soon after, Congress authorized expanded powers for the U.S. military to treat major cartels as unlawful combatants, giving legal cover for direct strikes. Now, the F-35s seem like the next step, from chasing drug routes to controlling regional airspace. This backdrop makes the deployment more than a simple mission, it's part of a broader U.S. strategy to assert dominance in what it still calls its backyard. And for Venezuela, that's a direct challenge to sovereignty and pride. Caracas didn't stay silent. Within days of the news breaking, Venezuelan officials condemned the move as a provocative act of aggression. President Nicolas Maduro called it an imperialist stunt, accusing Washington of trying to intimidate his government. State media began airing footage of Venezuelan military drills, tanks rolling, troops mobilizing, and aging F-16 jets taking to the sky. Defense officials claimed the country was ready to defend its sovereignty, but analysts note that Venezuela's air force is outdated compared to the cutting-edge F-35s. Still, the rhetoric is fierce. Government spokespeople warned that any foreign aircraft entering their airspace would be treated as hostile. Meanwhile, Venezuelans themselves are divided. Some fear an actual conflict could erupt, while others see the U.S. show of force as proof that Maduro has pushed the country too far into isolation. This isn't just about Venezuela. The deployment has sent shockwaves throughout Latin America, where nations are watching closely to see how far the U.S. is willing to go. Allies like Colombia and Brazil have stayed silent, but smaller Caribbean nations are uneasy. Many fear that if tensions flare, their waters could become contested zones. Internationally, Analysts say this is a calculated power move designed to show U.S. dominance not just militarily but politically. By placing stealth jets in Puerto Rico, Washington signals that it can reach any part of the hemisphere without permission. It's also a warning to global rivals like Russia and China, both of whom have deepened ties with Caracas. The message is clear: the Caribbean isn't open for new players, it's still under American watch. The situation now sits at a crossroads. For Washington, this deployment is about deterrence, a show of strength meant to keep threats in check. For Venezuela, it feels like an invasion in disguise, a step closer to direct confrontation. Both sides are locked in a psychological chess match, each testing how far the other will go without firing a shot. History shows that small provocations in this region can spiral fast, and with stealth fighters now in play, even a radar blip could be mistaken for an attack. The U.S. claims the jets are there for stability, but stability and intimidation often look the same from across the border. The only question now is, who will blink first? Because if neither does, the Caribbean could soon witness a new kind of conflict, one fought in the shadows. As the F-35s sit in their hangars, tensions keep climbing. Venezuela watches nervously, unsure if the jets are just passing through or preparing for something bigger. The U.S. insists it's maintaining peace, but the world's most advanced stealth fighters don't fly somewhere without purpose. Whether it's a deterrent, a signal, or the start of a new military posture, one thing is certain: the Caribbean has entered a new era of uncertainty. The next move could redefine the balance of power in the region. And if history has taught us anything, it's that when superpowers flex their might this close to home, the smallest spark can ignite a storm. So, the world watches and waits to see what happens next.